Hey, it's just another me talking video just for now. Got a lot of things I gotta do. Okay, first of all, I have just gotta love the genuine stupidity of certain people. First of all, Michael Pachter. I'll put a link at the bottom, but he basically is can't wait for the Ouya, which I'm kind of iffy on that one. And then he said that they were asking about the shovelware that was just coming out for iOS devices, and he said, "Well, most of these games are actually pretty good." No, not really. Most of the games on iOS is pretty much shovelware, and I mean complete shovelware. I mean, I got a game that's connected to the Game Center on iOS. It's just flip the coin. I'm not kidding. That's an actual game on iOS. Flip the coin, and it comes with achievements. And of course, he sat there and said bullshit about how Atari died. I mean, yes, Atari made a crappy game called E.T., but that wasn't the only reason. There was a whole lot of factors why Atari died. One of them was that they just delivered a whole bunch of shit games. And it had nothing to do with it all being just 8-bit or 2-bit. No, seriously, Patcher, there's a game on iOS called Flip the Fucking Coin that comes with a fucking achievement system. And then there's Ouya. The Ouya, I'm kind of on both ends of this. Because half of me likes Ouya, and the other half of me hates the Ouya. And yeah, Michael Pachter says he can't wait for the system to come out. But the thing is that the Ouya has a massive problem on its hand that basically all the consoles, even the upcoming consoles, are having, and that's basically keeping the OS separate from the hard drive. Now Apple's doing this half backwards on their new iMacs. I mean, if they did this with their Apple TV and put a decent CPU and a GPU and two controllers on there, fuck yeah, I mean Apple would have a great gaming console. And I say this because the Ouya doesn't, I mean, it's got an okay GPU, CPU, but other than that, it's mostly just mobile gamings or half-ass, not really graphical games. I mean, we're talking almost close to 1990s graphics, or even the 80s. But the one part that really worries me is that, you know, what if I want to extend the memory of my Ouya? I mean, it's supposed to be all digital download. What if I fill the whole thing up? What am I? Can I use extendable hard drives? Is there going to be any hard drive slot on there to hook in more hard drive space? And yeah, I'm worried about removing the old hard drive, and I don't care what the old hard drive space is, but and I would like at least like maybe a flash drive with just the OS on there. So, when I hook in a new hard drive, I can just format it right there. I mean, like the Nintendo Wii U. But, I mean, give me a Ouya only if one thing happens. I mean, I'm not really worried about the price of the Ouya. I just need to make sure they can actually ship that thing out and put them out like they promised. And that's the main problem. Are they going to actually be able to ship it out? I mean, I know it was like a Kickstarter program, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. If they are able to ship it out and put it out in mass quantities, then I'll get one. I mean, it's only $100 or 200. But yeah, if you want to see some really funny shit and watch Michael Pachter really put his own foot in his own mouth, just watch that video. I'll put a link to it. It's funny as fuck. No fucking shovelware games on iOS. Right. And then of course, Samuel Tel Geek's got his own little rant video about the Wii U, and he's got this incredibly long thing. And then I guess halfway watching his video, I began to realize something. A, he did this incredibly long rant on the Wii U, but B, he was been ranting on Nintendo over and over and over and ignoring mainly this bigger picture that's a really big problem. Like everybody predicting that the next Xbox 720 and PS4 will probably be about $400 to $500. And yeah, I've stated this before. If Sony gives me a decent console with a decent price to it, I'll go out and buy it. day one. And I don't care if the ports are bad or not. I'll go get me a PlayStation 4 day one if they at least have a good price point to it, which is probably going to become more true than any, according to the rumors. But seeing how Sony is in worse financial trouble than what Nintendo is in, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it will probably make Sony go up and say, okay, we're in bad financial trouble. We just need to get out there and sell a decent console, which is what they needed to do with the PlayStation 3, but they didn't. And as for the whole Xbox 720 using Blu-ray, I'm not really surprised since Sony doesn't own the whole Blu-ray rights anymore, or even have any more controlling shares of it. They gave it up after they realized it was becoming unprofitable and that it just couldn't beat the DVD sales. Besides, Sony wasn't really the main owners of Blu-ray. It was them and a couple of other companies. But now those other companies have more control over Blu-ray than Sony does, because Sony gave up their control rights for it. They just don't care about Blu-ray anymore. But I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Blu-ray in the PlayStation 4, which is another problem, by the way. Consoles with physical media, especially in this day and age, and this even worries me on the Wii U. I bought it anyways, and even if the Wii U fails, I'm still not going to give a flying fuck, because I made my peace, and I saved a shitload of money for it, and I took it, and it had a reasonable price tag, so whatever. But in this day and age, games with physical media is going to have a much more tougher time going than anything. That's probably why Nintendo started immediately putting all their stuff on the eShop. And yes, you can run your games off the fucking external hard drive. You can even run it off an external USB SD card reader, which I understand was even demonstrated it. And they were able to do it all right there on the Wii U, which means you can extend the memory out. Unlike Apple's, certain iOS devices, which goes only from like 8 gigs in some cases and 32 in others. But, you can't really extend the memory on iOS devices, which I guess Samuel the Tech Geek will never mention. But he's also not mentioning that, and this is an important one, but he will not reply to this in any which way. He'll just ignore it and just call me a Nintendo fanboy. And the simple fact is that PC sales are doubling over that of consoles, and many people who don't think first before speaking are saying that consoles are dying. Let's see if we can all pound this into Simultech's head. Many of the analysts are saying console gaming is dying and that PC gaming is becoming more dominant. In fact, PC sales of games are doubling twice the amount of that of consoles, because you can just download it off of Steam and it will go even faster. And now when Microsoft has got their new Windows shop, it's going to make that sell even harder. And the simple fact that Microsoft is even thinking about putting Xbox Live on their new Windows system. Why? Because there's a good chance that halfway through their Xbox 720 they're going to say, well, we're getting double the amount of money off of these PCs, and only a couple of people are on, and not very many people are on these Xboxes anymore. We're just going to move all the accounts over to the Windows, and we're just going to shut down and stop producing Xboxes. And if you want to play games, you got to get out there and get a full gaming PC, because it's just making more money. And that's the major problem. I think consoles can be saved, but it's got to start ditching away with the physical media and going with the more downloadable media, and allowing us to at least extend the memory a little bit more easier. Like maybe put a flash drive in there with a couple of gigs for the OS, and then a hard drive slot, so you could just slam in that hard drive and you'll got double the amount of memory. But yeah, the physical media shit's going to have to end up going at some point. It's just not marketable anymore. I know in Samuel's long rant they're like, well, Nintendo is just technology behind a lot of people. Well, yeah, Nintendo may be technologically behind in some ways, but in others they're actually seeing kind of the future that everyone else is seeing. Digital media is just selling out more than the physical media. That's why they have full download of all their games. Slow as shit, and you got to use extendable hard drives if you bought the 8 gig model, but they did it anyways and they allowed it. That's why you can now download Assassin's Creed on the Wii U. Of course, I think Nintendo would have done a lot more better if they at least allow. I mean, yeah, the 8 gig and the 32 gig model, but at least allow you to have a hard drive slot. They didn't even have to put the hard drive in there. Just have an empty hard drive slot that just slam that hard drive in there. And then used any mobile hard drive slot, hard drive we want. Problem solved. And yes, I complained that in my other videos. Of course, Sam's just going to say, nope, 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 got to bag on Nintendo. Because he's got to really bag on Nintendo, because I remember even him bagging on Wreck-It Ralph. Why? Because there were Nintendo characters in there. But yeah, consoles are going to have a hard sell. And yeah, I think Microsoft is going to come up with their next console by next year. Because Microsoft doesn't like having the spotlight taken away from them. Even if the company fails to fully take the spotlight away from Microsoft, Microsoft still gets a little jealous over it. It's like, one guy trying to steal your purse and he gets shot, but the woman still goes up and starts beating him and, feels she's been outshined by him, and she gets really angry over that. Kind of like that. I mean, I know that Microsoft came out with an official release for 2014, but now Bloomberg's saying 2013 with their own show. Why? Because just a small sliver of their spotlight got taken away from them, and, knowing the ego trips that Microsoft likes to go on, of course they're going to probably go for 2013. Even if the Wii U fails and doesn't capture the market and take away from the Xbox 360, they're still going to do it because the fucking spotlight was thrown away from them, and they don't like it when you do that to them. But yeah, Samuel Tech Geek is ignoring the bigger problem because he wants to rant on only Nintendo, and the bigger problem is that consoles are not going to be around for very much longer if they don't, face the music and realize that there's a serious problem. And what's really hurted consoles right now is also because the streaming shit like on live failed miserably. It's already completely failed. It's owned by another private company, and it worked on the single player games, but those multiplayer games just don't work at all. At one bit, it's just unplayable. I mean, yeah, you could use cheaper hardware, but it's just unusable and unfeasible. That's why Apple's just not using their Apple TVs anymore and do that in the backside, because it's just an unfeasible project right now. It will be feasible later in the future, but for now, it just isn't there. It's just nowhere even close. OnLive's not even going to be around by the time we get that technology up there. See ya.